with the street lights out, running around, happy and laughing together. I will never get to play with him again. I will never get to hear his laugh again. I will never get to see his smile again. Heather is no longer my aunt. She is no longer our family. I barely even consider her a person now. No human being would ever do that to such a sweet boy. I wish Heather nothing but the worst. She doesn't deserve to be happy. She deserves to rot away in hell forever. I hate her, and I hope she dies in the most painful way ever. We will never forget my sweet cousin Anthony Nolan. He will live on in our hearts forever. Thank you, Your Honorable Judge, for all your time and effort. I know this case will have a long-lasting impact in your life. Forever, Anthony Avalos.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to be ready now, honey. You want to try? Okay. I'll stand up here with you, okay? Okay, so don't tell the judge. Stephanie's going to speak now. All right. Thanks.
It has been 5 long years without my brother, my best friend, and my whole world, Anthony Avalos. Anthony was everything to me and my family. Anthony was a ball of sunshine to everyone, and sadly, because of these 2 monsters, he is not here anymore. Anthony did not deserve any of the things that happened to him, nor me, and Raphael. I am a 13-year-old girl. I should not have to be here doing all this. I should be able to live a normal life. They both took away my ability to live a normal life as a normal girl. Sometimes I wish I could turn back time and speak up to anyone, but I can't. I can't read that.
Where's she at? Here you go. Yeah, Destiny, hold your hand up. I'll read it for you. Sometimes I wish that I could turn back time and speak up to a teacher. Or anyone at least. But I can't. I wish that Maria never introduced Kareem to you or us. Heather, you and Kareem ruined not only Anthony's life, but mine, Raphael's, Bella's, Noah's, David's, Priscilla's, Evelyn's, and even your own lives. And you decided to choose and live, decided to choose and live a man over us, your own children. You decided to let that horrible man into our lives, and that ruined everything. You stopped loving and protecting us, and that hurt a lot. Kareem, you came into our life and ruined everything. I don't know why you did it, but you did. You tortured us and hurt us very badly. If it wasn't for you, Anthony would still be here, and none of us would have to be here doing this. It is also because of Heather that Anthony is not here anymore. She did not do her job as a mother. She did not protect us and took part in the torture. I would have never thought in a million years that I would have wanted to call my own mother Mom. To me, you are both monsters, and Heather, you are not my mother nor family. If I knew that the abuse would have ended with me losing my brother, I would have said something. But I didn't, because I was not scared, but because I was scared and terrified. But I am not anymore, because this is all finally coming to an end, and you both will get what has been waiting for you. I have learned to accept that you guys can't hurt me anymore. I'm finally free from all the torture and abuse. But if I were to have known that this would end with me losing a brother, I would do it all over again with just one difference. That it would be me, not Anthony. Thank you, Your Honor. Sorry. Next is Concepcion Ramirez with the assistant, the Spanish interpreter. Judge wants you to stand, I think. Judge, where would you like the interpreter to stand?
That way you can
Thank you, Your Honor.
Decir estas palabras para mí es muy complicado.
saying these words is very complicated for me.
Como abuelita de Anthony y no tenerlo con nosotros.
As Anthony's grandmother and not having him with us.
Es muy doloroso.
It's very painful.
No tuvimos la oportunidad de verlo crecer,
We didn't get the chance to see him grow up,
como muchos niños tienen derecho de.
as many children have the right to.
Y yo me pregunto,
And I asked myself,
¿qué hubiera sido mi nieto?
what would my grandson would have been?
¿Un bombero?
A fireman,
¿Un policía?
a police officer,
¿O un doctor, quizás?
or maybe a doctor,
¿Un abogado o un juez?
a lawyer or a judge,
Para defender los derechos de los niños
to defend children's rights,
que como Anthony enfrentaron tanto dolor en silencio.
that as Anthony faced so much pain in silence.
¿O un trabajador social?
Or a social worker,
Para hacer bien su trabajo y no permitir
to do their job well and not allow
que se cometan errores e injusticias como hicieron con él.
mistakes or injustices like they did to you.
Sé que Anthony te perdona desde su corazón
I know that Anthony forgives you from the bottom of his heart
porque él te amaba y deseaba ser amado.
because he loved you and wished to feel loved by you.
Pero en tu incapacidad de amar,
But in your inability to love,
nunca viste el ser maravilloso que tenías como hijo.
you never saw the amazing human being that you had as a son.
Sí, mis palabras son para ti, Heather,
Yes, my words are for you, Heather,
porque como madre le fallaste a tu hijo
because as a mother you failed your son
y también a Dios.
and also God.
Ni los animales hacen lo que tú hiciste.
Not even animals do what you did.
En nombre de Anthony,
In the name of Anthony,
pido que ya no haya ningún niño más lastimado,
I ask that there are no other children hurt,
ignorado
ignored,
y agredido
and assaulted
por ninguna persona.
by any person.
Que la oportunidad que le quitaron a mi nieto
That the opportunity that was taken from my son, my grandson,
sirva para que el sistema
serves so that the system
ponga atención en las verdaderas víctimas,
pays attention to the real victims
que como Anthony no fueron escuchados,
who, like Anthony, were not heard.
y que sea demasiado tarde como en el caso de mi nieto.
And that it's not too late, like in my grandson's case,
Que prefirió dar su vida
who preferred to give his life
y defender a sus hermanos.
and defend his siblings.
Pido que su sacrificio no quede impune,
I ask that his sacrifice does not go
que
unpunished,
todo el peso caiga sobre estas
personas.
that the whole weight of the law falls on these people.
Leiva,
Leyva,
tú fuiste físicamente quien hizo esta barbaridad,
you were the one that physically did these atrocities.
pero tú, Heather,
But you, Heather,
fuiste la autora intelectual,
were the
el
mastermind,
cerebro maquiavélico de todo esto,
the Machiavellic brain of all this
al no defender a tu sangre.
by not defending your own blood.
Tu deber como madre era defender
Your duty as a mother was to defend
y proteger de Anthony.
and protect Anthony.
¿Quién iba a pensar
Who would have thought
que de quien debería de cuidarse sería de su propia madre?
that the person he had to watch out for was his own mother?
Que Dios conceda la justicia
May God grant justice
para mi superhéroe
for my superhero,
y la corte
and that the court
les dé la pena que ustedes se merecen
gives you the sentence that you deserve,
y que nunca ningún niño
and that no child should ever
tenga que pasar por el gran dolor
have to go through the great pain
que vivió mi querido nieto,
that my dear grandson lived through,
mi superhéroe.
my superhero.
Quiero decirle algo al señor juez.
I would like to say something to the court.
Señor juez,
Honorable Judge,
pido que Dios le dé
I ask that God gives you
todo su poder y su sabiduría
all his power and his wisdom
para que les dé la pena de por vida
so that you give them a life sentence
sin derecho de salir,
with the opportunity to get out,
porque Anthony nunca va a volver.
because Anthony is never going to come back.
Gracias.
Thank you. Gracias. Good morning, Your Honor. Luis Mena, 301-817, certified Spanish language interpreter, hold on file.
Next, Your Honor, is Crystal Dugan.
On June 20th, 2018, I got a phone call that would forever change my life. It was the call saying Anthony was very hurt and he may not make it. My heart immediately broke and dropped into my stomach. My worst nightmare was becoming a reality. I remember calling every hospital I could think of, trying to find where he was. Call after call after call, it was a sorry, he's not here. I remember lying on the floor crying in despair. Finally, after what seemed like a million calls, I found him, but they couldn't give me any information. All I wanted to do was get in my car and drive the 6+ hours to get there and hold his hand while telling him everything would be all right, but I couldn't. And he wasn't going to be all right. I felt so helpless and lost. 17.5 hours after I received the first call, I received another saying they were pulling the plug. Only 30 minutes after Anthony was taken off the machines, he was gone. His little body couldn't fight any longer. I would never be able to give him another hug or kiss. I would never get to tell him how proud he makes me or how much I love him. It has been 4 years, 10 months, and 4 days since Anthony's life was stolen from him. And I am still in disbelief that he's gone. I am disgusted. It was at the hands of my sister and the man that she allowed in her life. The day Anthony died, I went into a deep depression. So deep, I thought I would never come out. That day, my children lost their mother. I would never be the same. They watched me fall apart at the seams, and I know they will forever hold that image in their memories. My depression was so deep, I had to check myself into an emergency outpatient mental health rehab to try to cope. I even had to quit my job because I worked with someone named Anthony, and I couldn't handle hearing his name. Anthony's death broke me. Kareem and Heather didn't only steal Anthony's life, they robbed the world the opportunity to see what good things he could have done and how he would have changed the world and what he would have become. He wanted to help people. He wanted to protect them. We will never get to see that, and I honestly believe the world is worse off without Anthony in it. He was so kind and caring. All he wanted to do was see people smile. I miss his beautiful smile and hearing his contagious laugh. I miss his hugs. What I wouldn't do for just one more. I miss watching Anthony play and dance with his siblings and his cousins. He loved to love, and no child should have to know the hate and pain not only he, but his siblings endured. I have so many questions that I'm sure I will never get the answers for. Questions like, how does one get off on hurting other people? Especially one that you made and carried in your body for 9 months. How can a grown man beat a child? I struggle knowing I share a bloodline with Heather. How do we come from the same two people? How did we have the same childhood and come out so differently? And quite honestly, she was Wendy's favorite, so she had it better off than David and I did. David, Maria, and I did all we could to try to help Heather and the children. We were a family, and we loved each other. When we intervened, Heather cut us all off. We were no longer allowed to see or even speak to the children. We were patiently waiting for the day we could be reunited as a family. But that opportunity was stolen from us. I would say more about Kareem, but I honestly don't know much about him. The day I met him, I had a bad feeling, and I wish Heather would have listened to me. Maybe if she did, we wouldn't be here today. Maybe she would have been a better mother. Maybe we would still be a family. I often look at my kids' beautiful faces and think to myself how amazing motherhood is. How could Heather not see that? How could she watch Kareem hurt her children? And how could she hurt her own children? How could she sit there and enjoy their pain? I just hope that Anthony's siblings know that we love and miss them dearly. We tried to save them, but the system made to protect them failed. I hope they know they are in our thoughts every single day, and hopefully one day we can be reunited. Anthony's life was cut short by the selfish acts of Heather and Kareem. No amount of tears, prayers, hopes, or wishes will bring him back. However, his surviving siblings need to know that justice will be served. Their pain, loss, suffering, along with the loss of their brother, was not in vain. They deserve closure, peace, and healing. Your Honor, I beg you, please, give both Heather and Kareem the maximum sentencing allowed. These two are monsters, and monsters belong in cages. Please, do not give them the opportunity to hurt anybody else. Thank you.
next, Your Honor, is Aaliyah Osuna.
For almost 20 years of living, I never imagined myself having to stand here in front of everyone today and speak about something so heart-gripping. We welcomed Heather and Anthony into our family with open arms when Anthony was still an infant. They quickly became family. Every birthday, holiday, family gathering, they were there.
Just a little bit, because she's going to write down what you have to say. Sorry.
And although Anthony may have never been blood related, he was still a love child, and we saw him no different than any of us. A nephew, cousin, grandchild, a son. When Heather's family began to grow and they were no longer living with us, that never changed anything. When Destiny and Raphael would come on weekends, we made sure Anthony came along and never felt excluded. On the morning of June 21st, 2018, our family lost a piece of us. We lost a piece of our hearts we would never be able to get back. The memory of the phone call replays over and over. He's gone. Anthony's gone. Taking in Raphael and Destiny after this tragedy was not easy, and it still isn't. Very long days living in fear. Both of them waking up almost every night from nightmares of them being tortured. We constantly reassured them that they were finally safe and none of this was their fault. Reassuring them that none of this would ever happen to them again. Gaining their trust didn't come easy. They were scared. They didn't know how to cope with anything or trust anyone anymore. Along with this came PTSD, anxiety, depression, and so much more. You both took away my nephew, my mother's grandchild, my niece's best friend, and their brother. You took our love child. We may never know the true reason why you both did what you did. We may never know why the both of you held so much hatred towards him. But what we do know is that we will never be able to get him back. I will never be able to play with him, have water balloon fights with him, laugh with him. I will never get to see my white boy, as we once called him. I do not believe in holding hatred nor holding a grudge, but towards the both of you, that's all I have, anger and hatred. So many questions, I want to yell and shout, why him? What was the reason? Why didn't you love him? Why did you do these things to him? As I wrap this up, I just want to say my last words to the both of them. Heather, I don't know you. I don't know this monster you became. You aren't who I met when I was a kid. You aren't who I would be so excited to see every day. You're a monster. You're a creature that didn't deserve these angels, and I hope the rest of these days you have living are spent with guilt and regret for everything you have caused us and everything you caused these kids. Kareem, I personally don't know who you are, but you took a piece of my family we would never be able to get back. You tortured these kids, and on top of that, you took a life. You're a monster alongside Heather. My niece and nephew did not deserve this pain. They did not deserve to live through what you put them through. The same with Heather. May your days be full of regret and guilt. May the both of you never be able to experience what joy feels like. And may the both of you never be able to have any power over anyone ever again. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. The next, Your Honor, is Jasmine Jaime.
So I've known Anthony almost my entire life. We grew up together, spent holidays and birthdays together, and yes, he was still invited to my girls' only parties. To me, Anthony was my other half. Anthony and me had such a strong bond and connection, and he was honestly the best friend I could ever ask for. Anthony was never related to me by blood, yet I still call him and still do call him my cousin. Anthony was my shoulder to lean on as well as his siblings' shoulder to lean on. Anthony was protective over me and his siblings. He had a tremendous amount of love for everybody. He was always there for me when I needed him. When our families drifted apart, he continued to come to our house. Me and Anthony would always play with each other. Me and Anthony were so close in age, we were always with each other. Now I find myself either playing with the younger kids at family events or just by myself. Now I'm missing my other half. That half of me will always be empty. Anthony was full of love. He was full of laughter and life. He was full of life. The life that Kareem and Heather took away from him. This isn't what Anthony deserved. All Anthony ever did was love and care for Heather and his siblings. And in a split second, Anthony was stabbed in the back. Being here, being in court, reading words that are in memory of Anthony is something I never wanted to do. It's something I never imagined that I'd be doing. Anthony was never a bad kid. Anthony would dress up as Spider-Man for Halloween while everybody else dressed up as vampires and witches. Anthony waited patiently to get a slice of cake at my birthday parties, even if it was a Justin Bieber cake. Anthony always played with me because I had no one else to play with. Why is Anthony gone? Why is it that when I want to speak to Anthony, I end up looking up to the sky? Why do I have to look back at photos and videos of Anthony when I want to see him? Anthony shouldn't be a memory. Anthony should be here. Anthony deserves to be here because he, along with his siblings, endured the worst pain imaginable. They felt physical and mental torture. They felt no feelings of being loved or protected by their own mother. And I just hope that the two of you feel the same mental and physical pain, exhaustion, torture, and strain that the two of you inflicted on them. I hope you feel it for eternity. The two of you don't deserve sympathy. You don't deserve anything. I want the two of you to know that I hate you both so much. My mom always told me that hate is too strong of a word, but it's the only word that expresses my feelings towards you two. Heather, we invited you into our home and into our family. To me, you were always Looney. I loved Looney, and she was such a kind person with a warm smile. Now I don't know you. I don't love you, and I don't care for you. I'm turning 16 this year, and Anthony would be turning 15. Me and Anthony had an ongoing argument on who was older. He would say him because his birthday was on the 4th of May and mine's on the 20th of May. He never understood that I was born a year before him. Now I have no choice to say that I won the argument because I'm turning 16 and Anthony is still 10. I won't ever get over the loss of Anthony. It will never get better. But I have no choice but to learn to live with the fact that he's not here anymore. Or the fact that I couldn't give him one last hug and tell him that I love him. I have regrets from the last time I saw Anthony alive. I do wish I could have told him that I love him. And I'll never forgive myself for possibly making him feel like I didn't love him anymore. Now I blame my 9-year-old self for being a child and not understanding that people come and go. I can't ever say sorry to Anthony for being mean to him. But in a way, I feel bad for my 9-year-old self. I feel bad for her because I hate her. I hate her because she drove Anthony away. No little girl deserves to be hated on by her future self. But because the two of you decided to take the life of my best friend, I have to live with my regrets. I won't be able to say sorry and I can't ever see him again. And that's because the two of you chose to not love him and treat him like the human being he was. Thank you.
Maria Barron.
Anthony Nolan Avalos was just not my nephew. He was like a son to me. I watched him come into this world. I still remember the day he was born and how long it took for him to come out. Heather pushed and pushed, but he just wouldn't come out. And when he finally made his appearance, he was the most handsome little boy I have ever met. At the time, I already had 3 daughters. 2 nieces. Anthony was the first boy born into our family. We were all very excited and happy to welcome him into this world. He had a loving family, a loving mother, a loving dad. Anthony and my daughter Melanie were only 4 months apart, so I watched them do everything together. When she started crawling, he was right behind her. When she started walking, he was chasing after her. So many birthdays, so much time spent with him. All those smiles, all the laughter, all the I love you, Auntie Maria. Can I come to your house? Can I stay with you? It was always a yes. It was always a yes. Because I loved him so much. He made my world a better place. The day that I received the phone call, it was one of the most difficult times of my life. I was so worried of what was happening to Anthony, but at the same time, I was excited because I thought to myself, he's in the hospital, he's fine. After 3 years, I finally get to see him. The day we called DCFS to turn in Heather and Kareem for child abuse, we had the kids for a few weeks. I promised Anthony that nothing would ever happen to him again. I promised him that we were going to be his new family and that he was going to be safe. I promised Destiny, I promised Angel, I promised Junior that nobody would ever hurt them again. I told them that no monsters will ever hurt them. I reached out to the Osuna family. I reached out to the Avalos family. I reached out to the Garcia family, and I told every single one what was going on. I asked for help. I begged everyone to help. DCFS gave the kids back, and Heather closed that door. We were no longer able to see the kids. I watched my 4 babies grow up. I celebrated their birthdays. I took care of them. I was there for 7 years of Anthony's life unconditionally, making sure he went to school. Not just him, Destiny, taking care of Junior and baby Angel. I was there for it all. I didn't only lose Anthony, I lost my niece, I lost my nephews, and I lost a sister. Because Heather was my sister, and at one point my best friend, the person I went for advice to, the person I talked to, and let all my worries out. So today, Your Honor, I beg of you to please give them the maximum penalty allowed. Don't let them ever walk free. I will never get to see Anthony again. I will never get to have all my kids with their cousins. Life was never the same. And I apologize to all my nieces and nephews. I never knew that Kareem was an evil person. I never thought that this would be possible. I never thought that my life would change forever. The day I lost Anthony, I lost a part of myself. The fun, loving mom that I was no longer there. My kids had to endure so much suffering because their mom was not capable of taking care of them. My daughter, Melanie, was 10 years old when her cousin died, and she stepped up and took that role. She helped
fill the void. She was the one getting up, making sure her younger siblings were ready for school. Every day that I watch my kids, that I watch